Hello, Joan Osborne, and thank you for chatting on Global Running Day. How fitting is that? For those that do not know Joan, she is the founder of Fast Tracks Running Club and a former owner of the Running Place in Newtown Square, my favorite running store.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Now, Joan has since moved from the area, and so why don't we start out with where you are now, and are you still involved with running?
Oh my goodness, I'm living in fabulous Golden, Colorado, and Colorado is just the greatest state in the whole wide world. And yes, I'm still running. In fact, Monday, Memorial Day, I did the Boulder with 52,000 of my favorite friends. So it was quite, the Boulder is a experience that anyone should have. It's really a great example of organization. 52,000 people, and there was never a crowd around me while I was running. It was amazing.
Wow, that is fantastic. I know from having run the Broad Street Run, and I don't know that I will want to do that again.
Yeah, getting there was easy, starting was easy. It was just an amazing race. And if you wanted to go just to have fun, you could have donuts, meatballs, bacon, and cupcakes along the way for a 10K.
Nice. That sounds like ultra eating.
Yes, it was. It was quite amazing. So, yeah.
Great. Well, tell us a little bit about the origins of Fast Tracks. What were your original goals for the club? How did it come about? And I know initially it was a women's club, but just start out with how it came about, and what were your intentions?
Well, my intentions were not to start the fabulous club that Fast Tracks has turned out to be. I had moved from Chicago to Philadelphia, and I was very involved in the running community in Chicago. I sat on the CARA, the Chicago Area Runners Association board, and was a race director and very involved in my local club, and moved to Philadelphia with my husband. And our children were both in college, and so I was kind of free to do, and I lost my job when I moved to Philadelphia. So I had all the time in the world to run and do the things I wanted to do. And so I got to Paoli and looked around for a running club to join. I needed some running friends. And I was really surprised at how few running clubs there were. Bryn Mawr Running Company and Running Club were about what was available, and they were more competitive and faster and mostly guys, and not what I was looking for. And so I met I met a woman who lived not too far from me, and we started running together, and we started talking about, wouldn't it be great to have a running club? And since Bryn Mawr was filled with men, and I had most of the people that I had ever run with were men, I thought, wow, it would really be fun to have women running companions. And that was all I was looking for, were women to run with. That's really how it started. And so at the same time that I was thinking about starting this club and where would we meet and that kind of thing, there was in the Wayne paper, and I can't remember the name of the paper, but this woman wrote an article, or there was an article in the paper from a guy who had complained about runners running on the roads in Wayne and Paoli, and they're so wide and they're so curvy, and how dangerous it is, and why don't these crazy people get off the road? It was just so inconvenient for this driver to see these people running on the road. And I read this article, and without even thinking, I picked up the phone and asked for the woman who had written the article. And I got her on the phone, and I told her who I was and said, I have a solution for the women who are out there running on the roads, not feeling very safe. And I agree that the roads in the area were not very safe to run on. And I said, so all these people, all you women out there, if she would write the article, all you women out there, come to the park and join us, and we can run together in the park and be safe. And she wrote the article, and it was like the main headline on the front page of the paper, and it said, Joan Osborne loves to run, and you need to come and run with her. And we got this big start from that article. It was just by chance. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So I know it started out as a women's club. So tell me about the evolution of bringing men into the club, and then tell me a little bit what you're thinking about the trends today in terms of gender and running.
Well, as I said, we started out as a women's running club because I was looking for women friends to run with. But it also had been my experience in being part of the Chicago Area Runners Association that most clubs and most races and anything to do with running were organized and men were in charge. I thought, boy, it would really be fun for women to be in charge. And women by nature tend to be less competitive, more nurturing, more supportive, and that kind of thing. And as Fast Track started growing and more women came, it was exactly that kind of club. And it attracted a lot of people, including men. And the more men we got, the more we realized that they were associate members and maybe we couldn't continue that way. So we opened the club to everybody. But I'm really impressed and very pleased that women still are, they take the major role of leadership in Fast Tracks. And I think that's just fabulous, even today. But certainly the role of women in all facets of life, women have taken on more and more important jobs and been more influential. And so it's less of an issue today than it was then. And we even see, half marathons where there are more women finishing than men. And women have really embraced running. So it's not such an issue. And I know that young people who come up even think, well, what's the big deal? Well, when Fast Track started, it was a big deal to have women be in charge and be part of the running scene. So,
well, you were way ahead of your time in terms of seeing that.
Well, I don't know. I just was kind of selfish. I just wanted women friends to run with. I don't know about ahead of my time, but it was really fun to see the sport that had meant so much to me, see other women embrace it and feel comfortable because it was a women's environment to try something that they might not have already otherwise done if it had been mostly men that they were joining a club of mostly men. Yeah.
Right. And I have to say that it remains very supportive, and there's not like this intense competition to be fast or to be more of anything than anybody else. So
I know, and I read all this stuff on the newsletter and everything that comes. I still read it all, and I can see that that's really true, and that really warms my heart. I think that's just really fabulous. Yeah.
Fantastic. Share with us maybe some favorite memories you have of the club.
Well, when we first got started, there were a group of us that were training for marathons, and so doing the longer runs. And so I don't know who cooked up this idea, but we decided that we would go down the trail all the way to Philadelphia doing our 20-miler instead of doing loops or circles or squares or whatever you do to get 20 miles in. We were just going to do a straight shot all the way down the trail to Philadelphia. But there's not water on the trail, and there's not Gatorade, and some of the people that were doing marathon training with me had never run a marathon before and needed to learn how to use all of those tools and that kind of thing. So we cooked this up where a group of bikers, my husband and some other husbands and some people not running the 20 miles, took their bikes and took their cars down to the 20-mile point, the ending point, got on their bikes and rode up the trail to meet us. And as they rode up the trail, they dropped off at certain intervals, water and Gatorade and that kind of thing. And then each of the bikers was assigned to an ability group. So when they caught their group, then they just rode back down on their bikes with the people running. And we, as runners, had all this, we had bicyclists as support, but we also had water, Gatorade, energy, goo, and all of those things that you might need. And when we got down to the end, then we had transportation home because the bikers each biker had a car. They put their bike on the back and took their group of runners back up to the park to get their cars. It was so much fun to be able to just go for it and run 20 miles, but it also was the organization of it, the logistics. When it actually worked, it was like this little dance. It was so much fun to do. We did it, I think we did it 3 times. And then, I don't know, that got to be old and we went off and did other things. But I do remember that, and I remember that it was really a lot of fun.
That does sound like a tremendous, and it also, what an experience for those that hadn't run that kind of distance.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So,
and also for the people who supported us, and they were mostly husbands, I have to say, but to be on their bikes and to really understand how far running 20 miles really was, and then to be part of it and to help us out, it was meaningful for bikers and runners and, all of us together. Yeah, it was really fun. No.
Absolutely. Well, that really leads me to the next question. How do you feel about the importance of community in running?
Oh my goodness. It's everything. And not only in what you can accomplish, like you go to the track and you're running in an ability group and you're doing 400s and you get to the last the 9th one or the 10th one or the 8th one, however many you're going to do, and you look around and you go, I can't do another one. But then you look, and peer pressure is just such a wonderful thing. You go, okay, all these other people are doing this, I guess I'll hang in there for one more also. So the community that way, and really pushing you by peer example to do more than you thought you could do, is really wonderful. But also, Bill, I have to tell you that when my husband died, that community of Fast Track's wonderful people saved my life. Running saved my life, but the community that I had in Fast Tracks and the people who came into the running place, they saved my life. The people who belonged to Fast Tracks at that time, I will never forget them. It was just community, that kind of community. It's just invaluable to have a quality of life.
Yep, I couldn't agree more with you. Yep, that's tremendous story to share.
Yeah.
So now, are you currently involved in a running club in Colorado now?
Of course. Of course. I came to Colorado. I came to Golden, and I was here for, I think maybe 6 months, 8 months. And I read in the local paper, and there wasn't a running club in Golden. And so I read in the paper that this gentleman sent in, it was an advertisement. Would you like to have a running club in Golden? If you would like to have a running club in Golden, come to this meeting at this time and this date, and we'll see what we can do. And it was like 2 months in the future. And he kept advertising and advertising. And I cut it out and I put it on my bulletin board in my office. And the day came to go to this meeting, and I parked downtown and I'm walking to the designated meeting place. And I thought to myself, if this gentleman who's no longer lives in Golden. If this gentleman and 2 other people and me, if there are 4 people who show up, we can make a go of this. We can start. I don't want to do it all by myself again, but if I have just a little bit of help, we can make a go of it. 76 people were at this meeting.
Oh my goodness.
And and so yes, so there's a great running club, and it's actually a running and a cycling club in Golden, because cycling in Colorado there's bike paths everywhere, and it's much bigger than it is in the Philadelphia area. The population is less dense, although that's changing because everybody wants to live in Colorado and population explosion is going on here. But there are a lot of bikers here, so we do track workouts on Wednesday nights. No surprise, I started track workouts, and we run on Saturday mornings, but then we bike on Sunday mornings. So it's
nice.
Yeah. So, and it's growing, and, just like Fast Tracks, it's a big, wonderful family. And I feel so fortunate because we go out for breakfast on Saturday mornings, but now I don't have to run to a store. So I actually get to enjoy that. And, I realize how many people show up on Saturday mornings, not to run, but to go to breakfast. So.
Yes, I understand that completely.
Yeah.
So, you were instrumental in starting the Radnor Red Run Steeplechase. What were the first few years like?
Well, I didn't start the race. Okay. There were 2 guys who thought that, and had this little fun run going on, and they came to the running place looking for some sponsorship. And it was right around the corner. I mean, it was so close to us. It just didn't seem like we could say no. So we said, yes, we'll sponsor you. And we gave them some money, and we advertised for them. And then I thought, I should go to this race and make sure, see what we're sponsoring and advertising. And I was appalled at how poorly organized it was. And so I thought, and these 2 guys, their hearts were in the right place, but they hadn't had any experience. I'd had running, race producing experience, and they weren't interested in doing it again. But I think a club, if they have enough members, so that the people who are really, so people don't feel pressured, but the people who are really interested in learning about how a race is organized, that they have an opportunity. That's just one more facet that a club can offer. And actually, if you are involved in producing a race and directing a race, you become a better runner. You become a better racer, because when running a race is anxiety producing. And if you go there and you understand how it's produced and how it goes and what happens behind the scenes, you tend to be less nervous. And if anything happens, you tend to know how to solve the problem. And that's how I sold it anyway to everybody. Say, hey, this will make you a better runner and a better racer if you participate in this. And it was unique enough that I thought that we could get runners, participants interested. And also it was a race that Fast Tracks could do without being compared to every other race that was going on. It was so unique that we had no place to go but up. And it is a lot of fun. I mean, people don't usually get to run that kind of a race. So
indeed it is. And it's fun from a standpoint of participating as a volunteer, which I've done for a number of years now.
Yes.
So that's great.
Yeah.
So now that brings me now to the bench on the Schuylkill River Trail near Port Providence. I understand. Have you been to the bench?
I have been to the bench. When I left Fast Tracks, when I left Philadelphia, I came back and the bench was there. So we ran to the bench, and I've actually seen it, and I've touched it, and I have to say it's kind of fun because usually you don't get a bench until you've died and you never get to see it. And so I've actually seen it and sat in it. But I was really touched that the women in Fast Tracks, well, all the people in Fast Tracks, members of Fast Tracks, wanted to do that. That was really special.
Well, I have to tell you, it's a special privilege and honor to run that section and go by the bench. So I always give you a little salute when.
Thank you. That's really nice.
And you know that they have now extended there's along the canal. They've restored the canal above Port Providence.
Uh-huh.
So there's another like 2.5 miles or so along the canal. They have a path. So it's very nice. Another extension to that.
How nice. Because that's a nice wooded, just really lovely, beautiful place to run. Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah. Well, do you get back to the area often to visit?
I haven't been back for a really long time. When I moved to Colorado, I moved here because my daughter and son-in-law and my 2 beautiful granddaughters lived here, and so I moved to be closer to them. And 2 years after I moved here, they went back to North Carolina, so they don't even live here anymore. But I've met a guy, and he just retired, and we've been very busy traveling since he retired. And so I haven't been back to Philadelphia, although it's getting closer and closer to a possibility on my bucket list. But in the last year, I've been to Africa and the Galapagos Islands and the Amazon rainforest, and we went to the Rose Parade, and we're going to France in September. So I've been between that and biking and hiking and running and cross-country skiing, been pretty busy, I've got to say.
Well, it sounds like that, and of course Philadelphia is nowhere near as exotic as most of those places you've been. But
I'm feeling really healthy, and Mike is really healthy, and so we thought, wow, we better just grab this as soon as we can. So yes,
I certainly understand that.
Yeah.
And the thing, you have a standing invitation to run with us or join a track workout, whenever you get here.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
So I don't want to hold you any longer, but I just wanted to know if you had any parting words of wisdom or message to the club.
I don't know if I have any wisdom that everyone in this wonderful club already knows, but I do have to say that I've heard from people who have moved, and I have experienced it myself in moving. And I think that the people in Fast Tracks really don't understand what a special organization Fast Tracks is until you move away and you don't have it. So I guess my parting words would be, don't take it for granted, nourish it, and keep it going by participating and supporting and loving all the other people who are in the club.
Well, thank you so much. Those are excellent words of wisdom, and I would call that wisdom.
Thank you very much. And hi to everybody.
Well, thank you so much, Joan, and happy running.
Thank you. You too.